Hey everybody, welcome back. Thanks for being here today. Taking a little time for yourself. So the focus for today's class is going to be on giving energy back to ourselves. It is December 22nd, the day after the winter solstice, the day after the great happening of the Jupiter and Saturn in the sky. And just like really a time when we're thinking about like giving a lot to others, and there's a lot of stress with that. So instead, we're going to take this moment to settle into our breath and to focus on what we're giving back towards ourselves. So we're going to start just with a really simple exercise of just rubbing the palms together. When we rub the palms, there's function, right, for increased heat, change in the molecules. So just feeling that. And then as I rub my palms, my weight sort of shift from side to side. I'm feeling a little movement in my body. And then go ahead and separate your hands for a moment and just feel that heat in your palms. And you can also think of just connecting the sense of the palms together, so in my hips a little bit from side to side. And then I'm going to start to just shift my weight from foot to foot and let my arms expand. So it's almost like I'm holding like a big beach ball, and I'm just kind of letting my joints rotate, shifting my weight from the right to the left, shifting in any way that feels good to you. I'm keeping my knees a little bent. And I'm actually going to start to take my arms a little bigger, but with this idea that the palms still have a connection between them. There's still a sense of energy and warmth between the palms. Oh, nice and easy, just making that energetic connection in the body. So I'm sort of holding this energy. I'm not throwing it out or giving it away. I'm just kind of figuring out a way to contain it. What does that mean for me? And then I shift to face towards my right. And so now I'm just doing a simple weight shift from my right foot to my left foot. So I go forward towards my right and then back towards my left. And you might even lift your heel up when you shift back. That's fine. I'm not going to lift my heel just because I have a little plantar fasciitis on that side. Okay, so we're going to take the palms up as we shift forward and then the palms down as we shift back. And you can make this as fast or as slow as feels good to you. And then I'm going to add in my breath. I'm going to inhale. I'm going to lift my arms up, shift forward, and exhale. I'm going to shift back. And as I do this, I'm just thinking about inhaling the energy up my body and exhale, grounding down. Inhale. Inhaling energy up, exhale, grounding down. And I talk about that fountain a lot up over the top of the head. You could all think of this energy as going over the top of the head, but you're not throwing it away, you're drawing it back in, connecting your own sense of center, whatever that means to you. All right, I'm going to start to shift it back through center. Again, just that relationship between the two palms of the hands, feeling warmth, energy, arms, connection, shifting my weight. I'm going to face over towards the left, shifting my weight forward onto my left foot, shifting the weight back onto my right foot, and then starting to make that connection, palms up as I shift forward and palms down as I shift back. And then same thing, I'm going to add my breath, inhaling up and exhaling down. Inhaling, I draw energy and oxygen into the body, and exhale, I ground it back in towards my center. Keeping my knees bending as I go. And then when you're ready, you can just shift yourself right back to center. Again, still this relationship between the two hands or between the arms, however you want to think of it. I'm making mine a little bigger now. I'm going to shift a little more side to side. Again, keeping my knees bent. And whatever way feels good to you, but I'm letting myself kind of think about circles here. I'm thinking about how my joints sort of rotate nice and easy. And then I'm going to just do this energy through this breath through center. So I'm going to inhale, palms up, and exhale, palms down. And this is a moment when I do like to inhale and think about the breath coming up over the top of my head. And exhale, I ground that breath into my midline. So I'm not thinking about sinking down. The inhale lifts my chest up, and the exhale, it's almost like the breath just drops down my back. So I'm not sinking forward. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, grounding into my center. I'm doing a little bounce with my knees. Sometimes that helps me just connect with my long spine. And just a couple more. And one more. All right, I'm going to go ahead and let my palms face forward with my arms just a little ways out from my body. I might close my eyes here and just come into the awareness of how I feel now. So for me, I feel somewhat radiant in my arms. And then I'm going to imagine that I have a light coming right from my belly. So a light right in the source of my belly. Or you can think of it as the sun. And as I imagine that sense of light, it's shooting out the palms of my hands, the top of my head, and the bottoms of my feet. It's hard for you to find that imagery. It's okay. You can work with whatever works for you. And then as I find that sense of light shooting out, I notice that my arms want to start lifting up. I'm going to let them follow that, not from a sense of dragging the weight up. So if you don't get the urge, that's okay. But I can feel, whoa, my arms want to expand. I can feel that sense of light wanting to reach out of my body, wanting to reach my arms out. Again, if you don't feel it, that's fine. And it might come and go. You might feel that the arms need to drop down again, or they get tired. You might lift them up high. Whatever works for you here, just connecting with the sense of a light at the belly, reaching you outwards. So then instead of collapsing, I feel uplifted by the breath, held up by the earth. All right, I'm going to do my best to keep that connection to the sense of light. My arms up. I have to break it a little bit sometimes for me because it's a... All right, then I'm going to interlace my fingers and reach the heel towards the sky. Whoa, lots of stuff happening in my shoulders today. So straighten your arms in a way that feels right for you. I'm going to keep mine pretty bent. I have a little hypermobility in my joints. And so for me, I actually do some rock climbing to get pulling action. If you're hypermobile, it's really good to get not just the pushing action of yoga, like the pushing away, but the pulling in. So I'm feeling a little sore in my shoulders. So in this exercise, we are pushing the heels of the hands away from us, but trying to keep the pinky side of the hand knit, right? Trying to keep the pinky side of the hand together. And that means that your arms may not get very far to straight, and that's okay. And then I'm taking a little side bending from side to side. But I'm thinking about my lower body just really supporting me. Oh boy. Okay. All right, when you're ready, I'm going to go ahead and let my arms come down, let them come back towards that just open V shape downwards. And then I'm just going to focus on my neck for a minute. I'm going to drop my chin into my chest and then reach the top of my head up and over to the side. And then lift up, lift my heart, lift my chest and open. And then let the top of the head reach over towards the left. And then drop the chin and drop the palms and the arms forward a little bit. And then I'm going to do that again, going the opposite way. Let the top of my head lead up and out towards the left. So I'm lifting up. I'm going to let my palms open to the front. To come to the back, I'm not clapping. I'm lifting the chest like I have a string on the front of the chest, opening the heart. And then I'm going to exhale, head over towards the right. And then I drop the chin into the chest and I let my arms soften down. I'm going to do that one more time each way. You can just take your own time to do it. Top of the head reaching towards the right. Oh, reaching up and back. Softening down for a moment when the chin comes towards the chest. And when I say chin to the chest, I just mean the head falls forward. You don't have to pull the chin into the chest. And I reach up and over to the left. Up and back. Oh. to the right. Okay, you can take your time if you're not done. I'm just going to start to roll down the spine. This week's anti-oppression video on YouTube is on rolling up and rolling down the spine. So if you're dealing with herniated discs or pinched nerves, you can take a long spine here. So elongate yourself and hinge at the hips. You can bend the knees. If you're comfortable taking a roll down, we're going to take a nice little roll down, letting the arms hang nice and heavy. And I encourage bending in the knees here. It's really hard to stay in the strength of your hamstrings and not fall into your lower back. But if you know how to do it, by all means do. All right, I'm going to stop myself halfway. I'm going to notice what I'm holding on to so I can feel that the top of my shoulders could release a little bit more and the back of my neck could release. It's hard when I'm touch and go, so maybe close your eyes, let the back of the neck release for a moment. Just trust that you're doing it right. Letting yourself roll down the spine with your knees bent, hanging over your legs, and then taking a couple of breaths. Even bend your knees really deeply so that your torso comes to rest on your thighs. And that means that you're using the strength of your legs and then you're releasing. Couple more breaths here. I'm starting to feel the back of my pelvis open a little bit. I can feel the muscles starting to just release. It's not my deepest hamstring stretch. I'm keeping a little bend in my knees. You could have a deep bend if you want. And then I'm going to reverse the roll. And if you're moving through a long spine, again, if you have that herniated disc, make sure that you're taking care of your back as you need to. And I'm going to bend my knees here. I'm going to tuck my tailbone under. So I'm really soft through the back of the body, but my legs are working. I can feel the support of my legs. They're giving energy, supporting so that I can release. I'm taking it nice and slow, rolling up the spine. When you get to about halfway, you can pause. And again, just check out what's holding on, what's not letting go. Oh boy, I really feel my legs working here. I can even feel my glutes a little bit, just working to support me. I'm going to continue rolling up the spine with the arms hanging heavy. And then when I get to the top, letting the head float upwards. Ooh, feel almost a little lightheaded from how deep that was. And then I'm going to turn my palms forward. Your choice here, you could reach the arms out and up or roll the shoulders up and back to find a little opening through the chest. Tail, and I'm going to soften the arms down by the sides again. I'm going to do a roll each side. I'm going to start to my left this side, top of the head towards the left as I reach up and out, palms face forward. Oh, lift my chest up and back. Head over towards the right, chin back into chest, soften the palms to face one another. And then opposite direction, top of the head up and over towards the right, chest lifts up and back. Oh, top of the head over towards the left, palms turn to face one another. And then again, I'm going to roll down the spine. If you're moving through a flat back to protect your back, you do that now. Oh, I'm going to bend the knees, the top of the head, carry my down. Take it nice and slow. So we're really trying to get into the strength of the legs and let the upper body unravel. I'm going to stop halfway. Again, I can feel that the top of my shoulders and the back of my shoulders are not quite letting go. So I can just encourage them to let go, maybe close my eyes to encourage the back of the neck to let go. Just trust that you're doing it right, keeping your knees bent. Really letting yourself enjoy that nice, slow roll. Oh my goodness, so good for the body. And then hang over here. If you're starting to feel lightheaded, you could step yourself right back into a child's pose or maybe just come to sit for a moment. I'm going to bend my knees here. I'm going to place my hands just in a comfortable place in front of me, and then I'm going to bounce my hips up and down. So I'm using my knees, and I'm going to bounce my hips over towards the right, and then I'm going to bounce my hips over towards the left. Oh. And just back and forth. All right, getting those leg muscles really working for us. And then we're going to come to just a little squat here. So you can tuck your tailbone under, use what you need to support you. So the heels will pop up off the floor, and that's fine. I'm just going to make a little ball with my body. If this is too intense, you can go use some lifting up, use some padding. We're going to come to sit back in a second. So just figure out what works for you just for a couple of breaths. I'm going to release the top of the head down towards the floor. Oh. And then I'm going to come and sit down. All right, I'm going to take a boat pose. So I'm going to go ahead and lift my feet up off the ground, bring my hands to support the back of the thighs, or you could lift your arms out to support you. If it's comfortable to straighten your legs here, you can. Just get in touch with the core muscles a little bit. I'm going to take an inhale here. And then I'm going to exhale. I'm going to tuck my tailbone under and roll down just an inch. And then I'm going to use those belly muscles that I feel to draw myself back up. I'm going to inhale and lift up. If your feet are tapping down on the floor, that's okay. You work where you're at for today. Exhale, roll under. Inhale, lift up. And exhale, roll under. And again, inhale to lift up. And exhale to roll. One more time, inhale to lift up. This time we're going to roll all the way down onto the back. And you could take it nice and slow if you want to do a little core work on the way, or just let yourself release. Oh boy. Coming to lie down on the back. We're going to reach the arms up overhead. You can straighten your legs or move them towards straight if that feels good to you here. Just find a nice stretch and a release for the belly. Oh, so I talk about this a lot, this idea of energy in the body. And sometimes in yoga, we need to really let ourselves rest and find just restorative, right? Just relaxing, just letting the energy come back. And sometimes we actually need to sort of push through to find energy, right? That's why working out feels so good. I mean, in addition to raising your heart rate and all that stuff, it's like we need the body to exert a little bit before we can find our resting place. So that's really the theme for today, is I want you to do what feels right to you. All right, I'm going to reach my arms back up towards the sky, palms face one another. I'm just feeling my arm bones just connect down into my shoulders. So if you're pulling your shoulders up off the floor, just recognize that and see if you can soften the arm bones into their socket. And then I'm going to bring the arms all the way down by the sides. I'm going to do that just a few times, like I'm just painting rainbows in the sky. I'm going to inhale and I'm going to lift my arms up overhead. I'm going to notice if I'm pulling out, right? Too much pulling is not great for hypermobility. So I'm going to let my bones soften to the shoulder socket and then reach the arms up overhead. I'm not even going to let my hands touch down because I'm just going to stay in my strength there. I'm going to inhale and then exhale, arms arc back up towards the sky and down by the sides. Right away, this time on my next inhale, I'm going to lift my arms up. Weight of the arms sinking back towards the shoulders, and then exhale, arms down by the sides, and then just two more like that. And one more. And exhale, arms down by the side, do the hips and lift up. I'm gonna let my tush squeeze here because it's good for me in supporting my back, but if you wanna let it soften, you can. I'm gonna take an extra inhale and then exhale, I'm gonna soften down. Now, if you're really tired, you're gonna go ahead and just put a block under your pelvis or some padding and let yourself rest. If you're ready for a little energizing practice, you're gonna inhale, push into your feet, push into your arms, lift up, and then exhale and lower down. And 3 more times like that, or you can be resting with a block underneath your pelvis. As I lift up, I feel my chest push out and open a little bit. Line nice and steady with my toes. And one more time. Okay, if you've got the block under your pelvis, you can remove it. We're going to inhale. We're going to reach the arms up overhead one more time. Your choice. If you're working with that restorative energy today, you can roll yourself over to the side, come into child's pose. If you're working a little more actively, we're going to draw the knees in. We're going to sort of tuck the tailbone under and just lift the hips up for a moment. We're going to start rolling up and down the spine. But first, I just want you to feel the bottom half of your body working. So just tucking your the tailbone under and feeling your core muscles support you. And then when you're ready, when you can make a connection with those muscles, as long as it feels good on your along your spine, along your mat to protect your spine. All right, we're gonna meet in the next couple breaths, come to hands and knees position. So your choice how you get there. If you're rolling up and down, you can pause, find a little boat pose, maybe you reach your arms out, find a little balance. And then coming to the hands and knees, you could cross your ankles and rock forward or move your legs to the side. All right, we're gonna push back to an extended child's pose. I'm gonna keep my toes tucked under. I'm gonna walk my hands forward and tent my fingertips here, keeping my head off of the ground for right now. So keeping my ears in line with my upper arm bones. It's a little energetic. I'm still letting the armpits drop down to the floor, but simultaneously not letting my shoulders come up to the ears. So thinking about the outer armpit or the outer shoulder dropping down towards the floor. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, that's okay. It's just a little sort of action, isometric action. All right, so from here, I'm going to plant my hands down. I'm keeping my forehead off the ground. I'm keeping the outside of my armpit or the outside of the shoulder rolling down towards the floor. So I'm in external rotation of the arms, and I can feel that there's a lot of space on the back of the neck and the top of the shoulder. I'm going to try to keep that space as I inhale and draw myself forward to my hands and knees. And then exhale, I'm going to go right back towards that energetic child's pose. Ears in line with the head. Head stays up off the floor. And then inhale again. I'm trying to really focus on keeping openness on the top of my shoulders. So as you move back to child's pose, if your shoulders come up to your ears, move that and see if you can drop outside of your shoulder down. And that releases the shoulder blade to the back. Not pushing it, but forward. And exhale back. And exhale back. All right, so moving in that direction of this shoulder supporting us. I do this one a lot. We're going to come onto the elbow. I'm going to roll over onto my side. So I'm on my left elbow and my left side. You could have your knees bent with your knees in line with your shoulders or your legs nice and long. So what we're looking for here is we're trying to get into the muscles, the serratus right underneath and the lats underneath the shoulder. So I'm going to push into my elbow until my shoulder comes down the back. This is really important for helping us just find a release on the top of the shoulder. Now from here, we're going to try to see if we can lift the hips an inch up off the floor. If that's not working for you, that's okay. You can just stay in the energy of pushing into the elbow, moving the shoulder blade down the back. You can also try bending your knees, having your feet back behind you to lift up. Knee padding, right. Okay, and then maybe lifting the top arm up towards the sky, maybe looking up towards the sky, thinking about yourself moving upwards towards the sky. So there's a sense of energy, not a sense of reminding yourself of how much energy you're exerting, right? Imagine the sun is supporting you. That you could draw back in. Maybe you're at the beach and you're reaching upwards. You could feel your core working to support you. If it's too much on your shoulders, come down. All right, we're going to lower that down towards the floor. We're going to take that same arm that we were just working on, that we were balancing on, and we're going to give it a little release. So, sorry, this is not ideal for the camera view, but I'm going to bring that arm into, also do this one a lot, 90-degree angle, and then roll myself over onto my left side so that I'm stretching the front of that shoulder. This is one of my favorite stretches. And if you've taken my class before, you probably know that. Now with my legs here right now, I'm floating my top leg off my bottom leg, but you could have your legs touching, you could have your legs extended, floating the top leg and bottom leg off. Figure out what kind of energy you want in your practice, right? If you want to just rest here, that's fine. Maybe you want to keep the lower body engaged, and you can build a little strength. Okay, as you're ready, you can slowly roll back onto the belly. Maybe keep a little energy through those legs if you've been doing that. Control through your core. And we're going to come onto the right elbow. I'll flip just to face towards the screen so you can see. Right elbow support directly underneath my shoulder. Be mindful of going out too far with the elbow. That's going to create stress in your shoulder. So you want to really have the elbow right underneath the shoulder. You could have your legs long or knees bent back behind you. I'm just going to start with the action of pushing into my elbow so that my shoulder blade wraps into the back. That's the most important thing about this exercise, right? Is not letting yourself collapse, but lifting up. From there, you might already feel that you've got a nice, good use of those muscles, or you might add just a little bit more weight bearing onto them by lifting the hips up. Up to you. And then reaching that top arm up towards the sky. I'm imagining myself floating upwards. The sun is supporting me. I'm just focusing on finding a lift and an energy there. If it's too much, you can always lower your hips or keep your left hand down. One more breath. And then I'm going to exhale and lower down and find that pec minor stretch again. So drawing my right elbow into my 90-degree angle, rolling back over onto the right side. So I get a stretch through the right front of the chest. I like to make a little fist with my hand when I'm in this pose to support my neck so I don't feel like my neck is collapsing down. All right, and then you could float your top leg up off your bottom leg if you want. Find a little energy through the legs. They could be straight or bent. They could also just be relaxed. And then on my next exhale, I'm going to roll back onto my belly nice and slow. So there's a little bit of control. I'm finding the muscles to support me through my whole torso, whole core as I go. We're going to move back towards hands and knees and towards downward facing dog. So however you get there, if you're using a chair for your downward facing for my class, if you haven't already checked out, there's a anti-oppression yoga video for that. All right, so here we are in downward facing dog, and I'm just going to invite you to find again the outer part of the armpit or the outer part of the shoulder softening towards the floor to get a nice open neck. Oh boy. And the back of the legs start to open. I just noticed that as I teach, I tend to lift my head up a little bit. So I'm going to let my head drop so that my ears are more in line with my upper arm bones. And I'll lift my right leg towards the sky. You could do that from down dog or from hands and knees. And inhale. And then exhale, draw the knee into the chest. If you're doing this at standing at the chair, inhale, lift up. Find that on the indigenous day of morning, exhale, draw your knee in. So you can just continue this action. I'm going to try to talk while I do this. On the indigenous day of morning class, live class, I offered an option on how to take this without doing any weight bearing in the hands. So you can take a look at that class. All right, one more. We're going to inhale, lift up, down dog split. And exhale, step the foot forward between the hands. I'm going to spin my back heel down towards the floor. I'm going to find the groundedness of my legs. I'm going to push into the groundedness of my legs to free my upper body up towards my warrior one. So not pulling through the back. Oh boy. Soft back of the neck, soft shoulders. Oh, my next inhale, I'm going to straighten my front leg. I'm going to open out to my warrior two. Back toes turn out. I widen my stance a little bit, reach my arms out. I'm thinking about the base of my body grounding. My arms reach out to support me with an energy of drawing inwards. And keeping that feeling of lifting up towards the sun, I'm going to take a reverse warrior. So I'm going to lift my top arm up. It's not important to me that the body goes back here. I like to think of it more as lifting up and out. And then I'm going to take a full deep inhale here. On my exhale, I'm going to come all the way to triangle. So I'm going to straighten the front leg, heel to the back foot in a little bit, and bring my hand down into the floor block where it works for you. Oh, letting my heart turn up towards the sky, like the sun is supporting it. And I'm going to bring my hands down to frame up my foot. You might be using a chair in front of you. I'm going to use blocks here. I'm going to step my back foot in just a couple of inches, and then that helps me square my hips to the front of the mat. And the front leg moving towards straight. It may not get all the way there, and that's fine. Couple breaths just to feel the back of that leg open. Feel softness on the sides and the back. Just a moment to think about the shoulder blades just wrapping into the back and the body to support you. All right, from here, I'm going to bend my front knee. I'm keeping my back heel down. And if you need to step it in a little bit, you can. I'm going to inhale. I'm going to turn my palms up and use that energy to draw upwards. And then I'm going to exhale. I'm going to bend my front knee and ground my hands down. I'm going to inhale. I'm going to shift my weight forward a little bit, palms up. And I'm going to exhale. I'm going to shift back and ground down. Now, this is the same action that we did before. So you can continue with this action, or you can start to make a little more deep. So you can start to inhale, drop the chest forward, lift the back leg towards where you're sitting, stepping forward on the right foot, maybe hinging forward to where three, exhale, shifting back. Inhale, I'm dropping my chest forward, lifting the palms up, lifting the back leg. Do this at a level that feels good to you and so that you don't hurt your lower back. So especially as you go forward, notice if your front body stays connected, or if you're sagging into your back, then try to make the movement a little smaller. All right, just a couple more. Inhale, generating some heat in the body. Again, if you're feeling like what you need is a little rest, then just take that gentle weight shift that we did at the beginning of class, just to find the energy moving back into the body. Okay, I'm going to come back to stand. I'm going to inhale and lift my arms out and up. Feel that energy and that heat that I've generated. Exhale, you could press your palms or bring the arms down by the sides with the palms facing forward. Maybe closing your eyes for a moment, recognizing any place that you may have built a sense of tension in the body, maybe feeling a shift in your heart rate. I think I get a lot more warm in these classes because I'm talking the whole time. So you could also try talking to yourself and it'll raise your heart rate. Okay, when you're ready, we're going to roll down the spine again. Again, moving through a flat back. If you're working through some back stuff, I'm going to drop myself forward. Notice halfway down what's holding on. Try to let it go. Keep my knees bent. Feeling the pressure of my front body really press in either to itself or onto the thighs. Sometimes that feeling can be a little suffocating, so it's a good action for learning how to sit with what might feel uncomfortable for a moment. To support you here if you're stuck on something. Again, that pressure of your front body, the thighs into the front body, might be super uncomfortable. Or if you need the energy, you can reach your arm up, feet out. I'm going to grab to the backs of my thighs to support me, but you could keep your arms reaching out. I'm going to tuck my tailbone under and find my core muscles. And I'm going to inhale and lift up. Exhale, low down an inch or two. Inhale, beautiful, nice work. Lovely posture. So that my inner thighs are working a little bit. That's very nice. Those of you who are on YouTube, if you come to the live Zoom class, you can get compliments on your form. All right, when you're ready, we're going to lower slowly all the way down into the back. Your legs can be straight or bent. I'm going to go ahead and bend my knees. I'm really squeezing through my belly here to support me, and then I lower down. Right away, I'm going to inhale, reach my arms up and overhead without reaching my arms out of the sockets or lifting through the chest, and then exhale, arms come down by the sides. My palms are facing one another. Inhale, my arms lift up. I notice if I pull my shoulders up and I soften my arm bones towards the sockets. And then exhale, arms down by the sides. I hope I don't sound like a broken record when I say this stuff, but once you really get the concept, it just feels so good on the shoulders. And exhale, arms down by the sides. Two more like that. If you're resting, you can stay at rest. You could turn your palms to face upwards and just enjoy that energy of the palms facing up towards the sun. Remembering that even if it's cloudy where you are, the sun is above the clouds. One more, inhale, lifting up. The bridge poses, pushing down into your arms and your legs, lifting your hips up. Exhale, lowering down, or if you're taking the restorative version, grab a block or some padding, place it underneath your hips and rest. You're working through on the breath. I'm not going to guide you this time, so about 3 more. All right. We're going to meet in the next 5 or so breaths coming back towards child's pose or hands and knees. And your choice, you could roll to one side. If you want to go with me and go through the core strengthening version, you can. I'm going to inhale, lift my arms up. I'm going to exhale, draw my knees in, grab to the backs of my thighs, and I'm going to tuck my tailbone under, find my core muscles. And I'm starting just with that little rock on the lower part of my belly to really get in touch with my core muscles beneath the belly button. And then you might rock forward and back a little bit. Maybe you come to balance right away. How it works for you. And then we'll come towards hands and knees. You could cross at your ankles and roll forward or move yourself to one side. You can take a child's pose here or work in downward facing dog. Actually, let's all take child's pose for a moment, because if you're going to head towards downward facing dog, let's first find that nice openness on the top of the shoulders. So forehead is floating a few inches up off the floor. I'm thinking about, you can think of the outside of the shoulders. It's helpful to think of the front of the soft part of the elbow lifting up. I'm going to keep that nice length on the back of my neck as I push to my shins, come forward to long hands and knees position. I'm going to get that same relationship of my shoulders as I push back, downward facing dog. So notice if your shoulders want to collapse towards your ears, and can you keep that energy in the shoulders? We call it external rotation, but you can just think of it as a long, open back of the shoulder line. Okay, if you're working at hands and knees, that's fine. If you're working standing at the chair, that's fine. Or in downward facing dog, you can inhale and find a down dog split. We'll exhale and draw the knee in towards the nose. Inhale, lifting up. I really should say knee into the core. The kit doesn't come all the way to the nose, but you could tuck your chin in and find it moving towards the nose. 3 more. Notice if you lost the connection of the shoulders. Are you starting to lift the shoulders towards the ears? I lost count. I think we have 1 more. If I'm wrong, you can just step forward without me. All right, stepping that foot forward, I'm going to spin my back heel down. I'm going to pause here. I'm not going to use my back and wrench myself up. I'm going to ground down through my legs, find my feet grounding down, find my legs, and then press up. So it's just a difference in how we energize the back and the core. And then just some breaths here. Number 1. Front knee is bent, back leg is straight, back is released. Shoulders come down the back. On my neck, inhale, I'm going to straighten my front leg and open out back toes and my front knee in line with my toes. Find my warrior 2. My arms are spread. My lower body does the work so that my upper body can just flourish upwards. Oh, thinking about my upper body moving upwards towards the sun, I'm going to turn my front palm up and lift up towards the sun, not collapsing back into my right side, but thinking about lengthening in that reverse warrior shape. I feel a little tension on my neck, so I'm just moving my chin side to side. I'm going to take an inhale here. Entire exhale gets me to a triangle, reaching the front leg towards straight, bringing the hand down, maybe heel toeing the back foot in if you have a nice wide stance, and then finding whatever you need in your triangle pose. Oh, the energy of my upper body and my heart spins upwards towards the sun. Maybe thinking of drawing the sun's energy back in towards you. We just celebrated the shortest day of the year. Not all of us celebrated, let's be honest, but this idea, the sun can bring us so much energy, even When the clouds are there, the sun is still there. All right, I'm bringing my hands down to frame the front foot. Yeah, you're right, Mom. I'm talking a little too much, so you're right to move onwards. You're ready, step your back foot in a little bit. Square the hips. Move that hip forward. Anybody who's here and watching and doesn't know, my mom took me to my first yoga class when I was 14. And here I am all these years later. Oh, just a couple breaths to move that front leg towards straight. Feel the back of the leg start to open, not pulling, just gentle opening. And then I'm going to bend my front knee. I'm going to step my back heel in so it's really firmly underneath me. I'm going to turn my palms up. You got to really ground into your legs here to not rely on your back. To ground into the legs, I'm going to inhale. I'm going to reach my arms up towards the sky. And then I'm going to exhale. I'm going to bend in a little bit. And then inhale, palms up, front knee bends. Exhale, shift the weight back, palms down. Now you can stay with this, just drawing your energy back in. If you want to start to move it towards a bigger action, you can. So inhaling, dropping the chest forward, but palms up, spine still long, lift the back leg. And then exhale, shifting the weight back, lifting the front leg. So shifting from this warrior three pose and then back. Notice how your back feels. If you're feeling it in your back, lift your leg a little less high, maybe lift your core up a little bit more. And do this all with the energy or the feeling of drawing your energy back in towards your center, back in towards your eternal sense of the sun. Ooh, I forget how many did. We did like 7 or 8, I think. So I'm gonna go in, moving that breath. Feeling the heat rise in the body. So I said that, sorry. All right. Knee bending to support you. I'm going to take one more. Ooh. And I'm going to come to stand. You can turn your palms to face forward. Feeling that sense of the sun coming right from your belly. Encourages me to feel lift upward so that I'm not sinking down into this, but I can feel the earth come up to me. Keeping the energy of the internal sun, maybe feel how that's to just lift the arms out. The arms lift all the way out and up, that's great. If you don't get all the way there, that's okay too. See if you can keep that sense of internal sun even as you bend your knees and fold yourself forward over your legs. We're going to step back towards downward facing dog. You could be using your chair or take a child's pose. We're going to come towards a pigeon pose. So I'm going to show this on the right. If you do a number 4 shape on your back, that's fine as well. I usually do that one a lot. So I'm going to inhale, lift my right leg up towards the sky. I'm going to exhale and draw my right knee to the back of my right wrist. So I'm kind of trying to draw it pretty far forward. And then I'm going to spin that right foot underneath me. So towards the left, like I'm opening a book. Now from here, I want to keep the hips square. So I don't want to fall outwards. I want to keep my left hip pulling forward. And if that means that your hip is up off the ground, then you find some padding for it. Could be a block. I find it a little bit easier to have a folded blanket because the weight can sink a little bit better in towards a blanket. If this is too much on your knee, flip over onto your back, make a number 4 shape with your legs and draw your left thigh in. Okay. Finding the pose that works for you. You might be lowering your head all the way down. You might find a block for the forehead. So I really believe that a yoga student is not about doing the most challenging poses, but is really about finding what is your energy, where is your body awareness, and working honestly. So humbling, so challenging to wake up one day and find that we can't do something. And then sometimes surprising when we wake up another day and we can do something that we didn't realize that we could do. The body is an ebb and a flow, and especially for folks who are dealing with chronic pain or chronic illness, every day can be really different. So how are we able to advance our practice? By being honest and being clear with ourselves. And drawing your awareness onto your breath in this pose, wherever you're at. Trying not to be in your deepest, most excruciating stretch, but instead ease up on it a little bit and then use your breath to open it. Okay, when you're ready, you can move yourself back into something neutralizing for your body. Could be hands and knees and swinging your hips from side to side. Could be downward facing. In your practice, where you inhale forward to a plank pose or down, you can always do that in my class. I just don't teach it. It takes a lot to try to teach that to an open level class. But if you already know it's part of your practice, you can always go for it. All right, we're going to take the left side when you're ready. If you're working from downward facing dog, you can inhale and lift your left leg up towards the sky. Find a nice long spine, down dog split, drawing the left knee forward, opening that left foot out towards the right, finding whatever padding you need so that you can keep your right hip pulling forward and your right knee facing down. And then again, if this is too much for your knee, you're going to flip onto your back, make your number 4 shape, and pull the right thigh in towards you. I've shown that option a lot, so I'm not really going into it today. Oh. And then here, the advanced awareness might be just noticing how this side is different from the other. Most of us have one leg and one hip is more open. So you might have to move around differently, or the pose might look really different this side than how it looked on the other side, and that's fine. I notice that after I've been here for about 5 to 7 breaths, that I usually can go a little deeper by inhaling and lifting my chest up, and then exhale, pulling my heart a little bit more forward. And I usually can see that when I'm using a block, because then it's like, oh, my block's under my forehead, and I can actually move it forward a little more. And then again, using your breath to open the pose, not by pulling, but deepening your awareness into your body, deepening your commitment towards spaciousness. And those of us who are committed to a social justice practice, this is such a great reminder. If we want space, if we want to live with this awareness where less people are feeling oppression, we have to also find this in our own bodies. What is the experience of it? And a couple more breaths here. All right, as you're ready, you can move yourself back to something neutralizing, meaning something that can make you feel a little more even in the body, whether that's child's pose, hands and knees, down dog, or moving through your plank, chaturanga, cobra. Can come touch, the knees become wide, I'm going to reach my arms forward and then come to a tri stretch here. I'm going to turn my palms to face upwards towards the sky and then bend my fingertips back to touch onto my shoulders. And if you don't feel this so much in your upper arm bones, you could also try placing blocks underneath you and keeping your forehead up off the ground. I recommend not lowering your head down there because it really kind of stretches through the neck. But if it feels okay to you, you can do that too. Oh. I didn't really fully show that, but if you really have questions about it, I'll show it one more time. So both blocks basically under the elbows as you settle back and down. And then as you're ready, moving yourself back up to sit. I'm going to give you an option here. If you're looking for just that last little bit of energy push in your practice, you're going to come back into those Navasana or boat poses where you lift up and down with your feet in front of you, then come back into that half wheel or bridge pose on your back. Lift your hips up 5 times. We did that a couple times that round. So this one, thanks you. This. If you feel like, ooh, I'm ready for a little cushy restorative practice, we're going to come into supported fish pose. So I'm going to have a piece of padding, ideally a block or a book because it's nice and firm underneath my shoulders, and then another piece of padding a little bit higher. It could be a block, it could also be a blanket. You could also just do this with cushions. Pretty firm cushions can do the trick. I really like a block under the shoulders because it just gives me a lot of support to let the shoulders go. But this is one of my favorite poses, even in bed, just with pillows. You're working through the more active version. I'm going to let you take it on your own, so be your own guide. And if you're working on the block, it's a good fish pose. You really want it as a shelf for your shoulder blades, and you can figure out what works for you. Move around if you don't feel fully comfortable. And then you can open your arms to whatever place feels good, where you get a gentle stretch across the front of the chest. Try not to go into the deepest stretch. So if you lift your arms up and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm so tight there, then try to lower your arms down a little bit, because ideally we want the body to ease into the stretch and for it to get deeper with gravity, and not to start at our most deep stretch, which is going to cause the body to react later by tightening. Oh, if you have no lower back pain, you can lengthen your legs here. If you tend to be a sensitive lower back person like me, or you have a tender lower back, you can just walk your feet as wide as your mat, let your knees come to touch. Maybe tuck your tailbone under even once, lifting the hips up and then lowering back down, and then coming to rest. If you've been working in the more active practice of working through your wheel poses, you can come to meet us in this pose when you're ready. Feeling the edges of your body begin to soften. So I can already feel for me today, with tightness in my shoulders from climbing, that it's a little intense. I can really feel pressure on the middle part of my back. So I might come out of it after a couple breaths, a couple more breaths, or I might try shifting around. Not being afraid to do what your body needs. Knowing that this is the time to take care of yourself. And that taking care is an advanced practice. All right, I haven't already moved out of that. We've got to go ahead and finish up. We're past our 55-minute mark now. I would like to do a twist here. If you have time to end your practice that way, I'm going to move my hips over towards the left, let my feet come up and over towards the right, just because sometimes after doing that, the upper spine needs a little more mobility, a little more openness. And then when you're ready, taking the other side. Hips over towards the right, knees and feet over towards the left. I open my arms towards a T shape. You could rest on your back for a couple moments more, or if you're ready to come up and end your practice. I'm going to end with my legs in front of me. We didn't get a whole lot of hamstring stretching in today. We did work them, so I'm going to go ahead and sit up on something, reach my legs in front of me, and then these can be bent if you like. I'm going to try to sit up nice and tall here, thinking about that fountain or that energy moving up over the top of my head. You could turn your palms to face up, receiving energy back in, or you could press the palms together in front of the heart. Feeling that internal sense of the sun right at your solar plexus, that brightness. And inhaling, lifting up into that openness, that brightness. Exhaling, forward folding to end your practice. If you'd like to stay here for a couple of breaths in a forward fold or the hamstring stretch, you can. Thanks everybody for joining in today. Hope you get a moment for an energizing time. I don't know what I'm trying to say, yoga brain, but hope you get some energy this week.